is up, y'all? It is me, Tasha C, and welcome to the Tasha C Show podcast. Shout out to my YouTube and podcast fam who've been, listening and or watching my videos. You're probably my podcast fan and you wonder what my YouTube channel is, or you're not part of it, go on over and YouTube, type my name and search Tasha C TV, and vice versa. You're part of my YouTube and want to know my podcast are, go in the description. It should be a link to the podcast where my podcast platforms where my podcast is. That's a lot of words start with P. But anyway, including speaker and so forth. But Podchaser doesn't have an app yet to my knowledge. So once they get one up, I'll also put it there as well. But excuse me, y'all, I don't know why I'm yawning. It's just one of those days. I know it was like a so-called mini, it was a little snow here, but when the weather was warm a couple days ago, but you know how it is. I live in Michigan, or you know how a lot of areas now, the weather's all over the place. And prayers up to people living in Alabama. It was a tornado. One of our cousins on my mom's side was just saying they had to go to the shelter because there was a couple houses that blown away from the tornado. I don't know, it's just there today. So anyway, y'all, this is volume 6 of our Kings and Queens Next Door, which is just me basically reading, using Instagram and certain websites that talk about events in Black history. A lot of it's just me really just reading for it. I'm trying to not curse as much in these, and just letting y'all know I chop up some words sometimes. I'm not going to lie. But Instagram, I found a couple of new things I may just do. But by the way, before I begin, first of all, shout out to, he would have been 75 years young, is Bob Marley. That's all I have to say. No woman, no cry. I shot the sheriff. Yeah! But I did not, you know what I mean. So shout out to him, okay, y'all. Okay, so anyway, we're going to go to Instagram. I found a couple Instagram channels about, Black history and so forth. And, depending how the time goes. Usually the show, if you are new to this, like I said, I'm going to try to do this for the remaining amount of the days, which, like I said, we get extra bonus day because we got a leap year this year. Yay! So, like I said, I just read, y'all, hear about it. Let's, I don't want to hear me read about certain people. Okay, this one particular, I'm on Instagram now called Black History. Okay, Nico Mendez Santa Cruz was without a doubt the most important Black intellectual in 20th century Peru and one of the most important in Latin America. Yet his work and legacy remain relatively unknown, except within the academic circles and among Afro-Peruvian organizations. He was a Peruvian singer, songwriter, and musicologist. He was a primary denomista or demigo, a singer of demigas. After his schooling, it was decided that he would work as a blacksmith, which he did until 1956 when he left his workshop and traveled throughout Peru and Latin America, composing and reciting his poems. Peruvians came into Lima in 1920 and was an early pioneer of the movement to regain the lost cultural identity of Afro-Peruvians. Santa Cruz assumed the task of reviving Afro-Peruvian folklore through a theater company he organized with his sister Victoria Santana Cruz, who was born in 1959. Wait a minute. Well, I guess this might have been the time frame. I thought I was born. Okay, through 1959 to 1961, through a radio broadcast and through his collaborations in the daily newspapers, Expressos and El Camino, as well as other publications. In 1959, with his group Canto Camanina, he recorded the album Camanina, followed in 1960 by Inga and Dominguez Ampona's Afro-Paninos. Y'all, it is horrible. They had me take 2 years of Spanish when I was in high school, and this is what happens. He made his theater debut in 1957 at Ethereal Principal de Chile with the company Pancho Ferro in a show called Black Ribbons of Peru. During his travel, he continued to participate in events promoting Afro-Peruvian folklore. Normally, his address at the first Black Arts Festival held in Canete in August 1971. In 1974, he traveled for the first time to Africa, where darker Senegal. He participated in the Symposium Negre et Impertinente with his lecture Apo de las Civilizaciones Africanas et Folklore de Peru. In 1987, he began collaborating, preparing a series of LP record albums called España el de Folklore, a collection of songbooks from Spain and America. This is quite a gem. In 1989, he taught a seminar on African culture in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, and the following year participating in the Expedition Adventure 92, touring ports in Mexico and Central America. He died of lung cancer on February 5th, 1992, after surgery at the Clinical Hospital in Madrid, Spain. Wow, just dope. These are quite gems. I'm glad I found, some more Instagram pages to find, some of this information from, and finding, here's another gem. Okay, Bailey with the burst of philosopher, runner, and poetry bargainer. Okay, Jean-Baptiste Bailly, who represented Saint-Domingue in the French National Convention in Paris in 1794, is widely credited with persuading that body to abolish slavery in France and its overseas colonies. Bailey, as a boy, was kidnapped by slave catchers on the island Gorée near Dakar, Senegal, and shipped off to the French Caribbean colony of Saint-Domingue, now the Republic of Haiti. He purchased his freedom from his owner, enlisted in the military, and served as a contingent of black and mulatto troops called volunteer couriers that were sent to fight against the British in Georgia during the American Revolution War. To returning to the Saint Domingue, Bailey became a well-to-do planter with penchant for politics. But news from France in 1789 of the storming of the Belles set in motion revolution in Saint Domingue and pitted whites, grands blacks, and pettis blacks against slaves and mulatto freemen led by Torrente Liberté, demanding liberty and equality. When in 1793 the jailor of Le Corfete, Senegalese, was dispatched to administrate the colony, Bailey, now a middle-aged officer, joined him in cruising a rebellion of whites and opposing the verdict. As a reward for his loyalty, Bailey was one of three men and the only black person elected to represent the colony at the convention that held in Paris. As reported in Le Matin Officiel, and on February the 4th, 1794, after having their credentials authenticated, the three delegates from Saint Domingue were welcomed into the hall of the convention of exuberant applause. The next morning, Bailey thoroughly secured his place in history when he delivered to the convention a lengthy and mostly charged speech which denounced the inhumanity of slavery and demanded its abolition. Carried away by the moment, a white delegate rose to voice his shame and rebuked the nation for its horrors and allowed in the colonies. By the acclamation, the convention voted to end slavery. Bailey, the man of the hour, returned to the rostrum to receive embraces and unrestrained congratulations. Okay, continue. Sometimes it continues, so I have to go into the comment section, y'all, to finish the rest of the story. Okay, Bailey continued his stay in France, survived the Reign of Terror, and served on the Council of Ancients and the Council of 500. Before returning home to Haiti in 1797, he posed for a portrait by Anne-Louise Greta de Roche-Tresson. This portrait, still on display in the chapel of the Palace of Versailles, has best preserved its memory of the former slave and abolitionist leader. By 1802, when Napoleon Bonaparte sent an army to Saint Domingue to reestablish slavery and defeat the blacks led by Tercet Letetorte, Bailey, now in Constable, was eventually persuaded to oppose the brutal tactics of the French. Because of that opposition, he was forced to return to France, immediately arrested and imprisoned for at least 2 years at the notorious Bellite prison. Hit that about a bit. Okay. The exact date, place, and circumstances and the manner of his death cannot be determined, but his memory preserved in a medallion at the Betis de Nettes de Paris, and his chalk and ink portrait stretched by Gerda at the Art Institute of Chicago, Illinois. Wow. Ain't that about something? That is sad, but it's okay. Like some of our heroes, they have happily ever afters, I guess you can say, and sometimes they don't. But he's still a legend. But it's good to find different gems of Black history all over. Okay. Here's another one. How many minutes have I went so far? Okay, wow. Okay. Marlene Nalibes Phillip was born on February 3rd, 1947. Is a Canadian poet, novelist, playwright, essayist, and short story writer. Born in the Caribbean and Woodlands, Trinidad and Tobago, Phillip was educated at the University of West Indies. She subsequently pursued graduate degrees in political science and law at the University of Western Ontario and practiced law in Toronto, Ontario for 7 years. Phillip is known for experimentation with literary form and for her commitment to social justice. Through her writing suggesting an in-depth understanding of the canon, Phillip's career undoubtedly helped her to free her from the constraints of tradition and to nurture her social analysis and criticism. Phillip has published 5 books of poetry, 2 novels, and 4 collected essays and 2 plays. Her first novel, Harriet's Daughter, 1988, which was widely used in high school's curricula in Ontario, Great Britain, and was for a decade studied all children in the Caribbean receiving the high school's CXC diploma. Set in Toronto, this novel explores the themes of friendship, self-image, ethnics, and migration when telling a story that is riveting, fun, and technically accomplished. I should wonder, should I look to see at her, books and see this gem, y'all? Like I said, this is a dope Instagram page. It's just type in Black history, y'all. Okay. It makes the fact of being Black very positive and enhancing experience. Phillip's most renowned poetry book, She Tried Her Tongue, Her Silence Softly Breaks, was awarded the Castle de las Americas Prize for Literature while still in manuscript form. As she explores these themes of race, place, gender, colonialism, and always language, Phillip plays with words, bending and restating them in a way that reminisces of jazz. The tension between father tongue and quote, quote, in parentheses, the white Euro-Christian male Kenyan, and the mother tongue, Black African female, is always present. Another gem, like I said, just dope, dope, dope. Okay. Like I said, okay, let's get into this. Now, this is, okay, Bob Silly at a free loop. Okay, this is the name of the picture. We're going next with Bob Silly. Okay, Bob Silly was born Robert Silly on October 22nd, 1936 in Dallas, Texas. Is an American political activist who founded, along with Huey P. Newton, the Black Panther Party, also known short abbreviations BPP. Silly also served as the national chairman. He was one of a generation of young Black radicals who broke away from the traditionally non-violent civil rights movements to preach a doctrine of militant Black empowerment. Searching service in this U.S. force, he entered Merritt College in Oakland, California. His radicalism took root in 1962 when he first heard Malcolm X speak. Inspired by Malcolm, independence movements in Africa, anti-colonialists, and intellectuals such as Franz Fanon. If y'all ever get a chance to read a book, Wretched of the Earth, I brought it up before. It was a good book. I had to read that when I was doing like an honors class with one of my favorite professors, Professor Harvell at Community College. Yeah, like I said, Wretched of the Earth. He founded with Newton in 1966 and the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Noted were their violent views. They were also ran medical clinics and served free breakfasts to school children, among many other programs. In 1969, Sid was indicted in Chicago for conspiracy to ignite riots during the Democratic National Convention the previous year. The court refused to allow him to have a choice of lawyer. When Sid repeatedly rose to insist that he was denied his constitutional right to counsel, the judge ordered him to be bound and gagged. He was convicted of 16 counts of attempted assistance to 4 years in prison. And 1970 to 1971, him and the co-defendant were tried for a 1969 murder of a Black Panther suspected of being police informer. The 6-month-long trial ended with a hung jury. Following his release from prison, his return to Oakland, where he had found the BPP, dismayed by arrests, killings, internal skimmings, and successful efforts by the FBI to destroy the organization. As a part of attempt by the BPP to enter editorial politics, he ran for mayor of Oakland in 1970, finishing second. Okay, I got to continue in the comment section the rest of the story. Okay, just work with me here, y'all. Okay, whoops, it went past it went deep into the comic section. Okay, give me a second. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like I'm laughing on that, y'all, but I was trying to get the rest of the story, and it went like 15 weeks ago. Okay, here we go, continued. In 1974, Silly resigned as the chairman of the BPP, noting that he was physically and emotionally exhausted. He remains activating for groups that support social justice and educational opportunity. As the Black Panther Party faded from public view, Sills could acquire a role working to improve social services in Black neighborhoods and to improve the environment. His books included The Autobiography of Lonely Rage, 1978, The Siege, The Time, The Story...
The news station alert has arrived.
Oh my gosh, excuse me, y'all. I forgot to mention sometimes I have notifications, but somehow they don't seem to bother me much when I do these weird things. And that was a weather alert, some alert thing. I'm so sorry. I did not mean it to happen. I know I'm repeating the sentence again. His books included The Autobiography of Lonely Rage, 1978, Siege, The Time, The Story of a Black Panther Party, and Huey P. Newton, 1970, and Power to the People, The World of the Black Panthers, in 2016, co-written with Stephen Shanes. See, also published Barbecuing with Bobby, 1988, a cookbook. Okay, then. All right, like I said, another gem. How much time do we have here? Like I said, I usually like to keep these 20 minutes and so forth. Okay. Let's see here. What time is it here? 17. Okay, so we got a little more time where I can probably read another one. Okay. All right, then. Here's another one still from Black History. Everyone I read about was from Black History. Like I said, I may just end with this story. Sometimes y'all might get a little bit more facts and sometimes not. A little bit more stories. Okay, we going to sit in. Now, we got Wilma Rudolph at the Summer Olympics, Rome, Italy. Okay, this is, I keep... confused. There's a picture actually on Black History, y'all. They first talk about the person that they're talking about, and they give it a thorough description about where the picture is, what took place. So in Wilma Rudolph, which I'm about to talk about, she's actually at the Summer Olympics of Rome, Italy, this picture, where she won the 100-meter and 200-meter sprints in August the 3rd, 1960. Okay? Now let's get started. At the age of 4, when she was diagnosed with polio and had to walk with a brace. Just 12 years later, she won the Olympic medal at the 1956 Summer Olympics. On June 23, 1940, Wilma Gonian Rudolph, a Hall of Fame track and field athlete, and the first American to win 3 gold medals in track and field during the single Olympic Games, was born in Claresburg, Tennessee. Despite a childhood filled with medical problems, Rudolph became an accomplished athlete by high school. In high school, she was a basketball star, setting state records for scoring and leading her team to the state championships. At 16, she was a member of the United States track and field team, which won the bronze medal at the 4 times 100-meter relay at the 1956 Melbourne Olympic Games. At the 1960 Rome Olympic Games, Rudolph won gold medals in the 100-meter race, the 200-meter race, and the 4-time 100-meter relay. At that same year, she was the United Press Athlete of the Year and the Associate Press Woman Athlete of the Year. In 1961, she was the Associate Press Woman Athlete of the Year and won the James E. Sullivan Award as the top amateur athlete in the United States. Rudolph was inducted into the U.S. Track and Field Hall of Fame in 1974, the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame in 1983, and the National Women's Hall of Fame in 1994. Rudolph published her autobiography, Wilma, the story of Wilma Rudolph, in 1977, which was later turned into an NBC movie called Wilma. Rudolph died November 12, 1994. In 2004, the United States Postal Service issued a commemorative postal stamp in recognition of her accomplishments. In April 1996, a life-size bronze statue of Rudolph was unveiled in Clarksville. A number of biographies of Rudolph have been published, including Wilma Rudolph, the greatest woman splinter in history, 2004, and Wilma Rudolph, a biography. And for more information, visit the Wright Museum. That's pretty dope, so I'm going to go there. I think that's going to be the last straw of my African history. It's about 20 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed these gems. Hugs and loves, everybody. God bless. And I definitely see you with our next podcast of this limited series, our Kings and Queen Next Door Volume 7. Okay? Take care. See y'all tomorrow.